Okay, thank you so much, Kaleo from Australia, for being here. I
Oh
appreciate your
yeah.
I appreciate your presence here. This is the second time we're connecting, by the way. The first time was on a call from the men last year, I believe, sometime, and then this year we're now connecting, and we're going to have a conversation about what it is to really heal, for women to really heal from the inside out, from their wounds. And you were sharing with me a document. And from what I know of you and the things that you've been sharing, I've been very impressed and inspired by a lot of the things that you've been sharing on the new normal way of being. And I wanted you to take a moment to just introduce yourself and sort of let women know what this way of being or what this new consciousness is all about.
Okay. My name is Kaleo Salah. I'm married to the beautiful Nina Salah in Adelaide, Australia. I've been here 5 years now, and it's fantastic. I encourage everyone to visit and or move to Australia. Stop the boats, baby. Stop the boats. No, I'm not a boat stopper. So I think immigration is a wonderful option for people who have the ability to immigrate. Um, the new normal conversation is one that I've been having for seemingly my whole life. Okay, so I am what we call a disruptive technology. I come into an environment and I shake things up. I stir the pot. Uh, you know, I'm the bee that stings the elephant. I'm the guppy that eats the whale. Okay, I mean that's me. So we call our stuff dragon training, shadow dragon, heart space, new normal, prison break. So we're talking about breaking out of the prison that confines your mind, in your brain, your synapses, your neural firing, old programming, and confines your body. And I'm an energy worker, so I'm one of the guys on this planet uh, that goes into the shadow, the real deep, dark, heavy, nasty parts of life, and transforms it and helps my students. I've got students all over the world. I've been doing this work for 31 years now, professionally, and this is all I do. Okay, so this is all I do. I have a prior life back in the old days um, where I ended up at the top of the World Trade Center in 2001. March 2001, I decided that I was going to leave there. And the thing I told my people, I was leading some pretty big stuff that's still running the world, by the way. Um, the thing I told my people is I'd much rather walk myself down these 106 flights of stairs than be hurled out the window. And 6 months later, they were hurled out the window. So the things I do are real. The things I say are true. The feeling you feel when you connect with me is you. It's you coming alive. And as a person who stirs from the bottom of the pot, the things that come up through you will often be quite disturbing and will always be unfamiliar and will always be a little frightening. So when we apply this to love, romance, enlightenment, we apply this to the knight in shining armor conversation, we apply this to prison break, heart space, it gets really real very, very quickly. Right? So one of the things that Nicole and I were talking about before we went live is the conditions by which we allow fear to run our lives versus move toward the thing we fear. So the fight or flight reaction. And when we come to the new normal world, it's all about presence. And presence has no condition. Presence is unconditional. There are no conditions where I will choose to be distracted, ever. ever, never. There are no distractions in my world. I don't care what anyone thinks or what I'm doing. There are no distractions in my world. Everything is useful. So we have a very simple motto in New Normal, and it's called keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
We take complexity out of the game. We take uncertainty out of the game. We take risk out of the game. And we turn it all toward learning internal opportunity. So that's all I ever talk about, Nick. It's all I ever talk about, Nick.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for that introduction. That's awesome. So we're going to have some conversations with some of the ladies, or I'm going to be having a conversation with some of the ladies in about a week or so. Two major components that women often deal with, and I shared with you before we went live. They do not understand the nature of the masculine. They see a man like yourself as the biology, and they are not able to understand the nature of the masculine itself in a global perspective. What I mean by that is understanding the universality of the actual nature of the masculine beyond the man himself. So they fear, they have a lot of fears that come up for them when it comes to how they deal with men. And the second conversation that many women have, the internal dialogue that goes on within them, is that they feel very much stuck in their own wounds, internal wounds, whether it's emotional wounding or any sort of sexual, psychological trauma that they've had from having experiences with men, whether or not they made the choice to, or it was forced on them when they were a child. So a lot of them carry this within themselves. And the desire that I'm having is to really heal women from this story or this dialogue that's going on for them. Now, when it comes to how a man like yourself would approach that, or your way of thinking around that concept, what would you have to say to the ladies around this?
The only way you will ever illuminate your shadow is by asking questions. So the very, very, very first courageous, decisive action in our heart space, our heart space technique, our heart space technology, our heart space way, is to ask questions. The only way you will ever connect with your heart is to ask your heart questions. I train my students to program their brain for a new task. And the new task is to generate questions that your brain asks your heart. Fear lives in your brain. Fear lives in thought. Fear
Mm-hmm.
lives in the past and lives in the future. Only by asking questions will you ever become present. So the
Mm-hmm.
questions, the value of the questions and asking better questions becomes the simple pathway to opening your heart, discovering your heart, facing your heart, and then opening your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay. So that's very, very powerful. So you're saying that the technology of asking questions is the absolute primary way to bring presence, to bring clarity, and to bring a woman into more of her heart space where then she can heal. Instead of going into the head, which most women stay into, they now drop from the head, the thought, into the heart space, and that's the only place where they can heal. So here's a question for you. A woman, a typical example. She is in a relationship, it's been 3 months. She had a terrible breakup with this guy who said a whole bunch of things to her as if she was going to be his one, okay? And she finds herself in a space where she's mourning this breakup and having a hard time letting this breakup go. From that space, she feels like she could never trust a man with that level of giving her heart again because she felt like she went all in totally deep with this guy. What is the approach for her using your technology and how she can come into the place of freedom within herself?
Fantastic. We're doing it right now. This is exactly what I do when I deal with women who come to me with these issues.
So can you
We're
elaborate
connected.
on that? Elaborate on that a little bit?
You just did it. You just did it, Nicole. You just did it, Nicole. Nicole, what did we talk about before that you just did? 2 words, honey. Come on. 2 words.
Okay,
Come
we're gonna
on.
release
Say
that.
them.
We're gonna
Say them.
release.
Say the words. You have to say the words to release them.
Say the words to release them.
2 words we talked about that you just demonstrated.
Okay.
2 words. One is control and one is patience.
Uh-huh.
You just did it. So this is literally what I do.
Okay, so just for the conversation, I wanted to find out from you, because I'm going into a woman's brain and how the women are thinking, right?
Nicole,
Yeah.
Nicole, you're doing it again. So what I'm doing is what I'm answering your question.
Okay.
And what you are demonstrating is the typical woman's brain that cannot handle silence. Literally. So we're going to do this again. So you've asked me the question of how do I handle this? And then I told you I do exactly this. And what happens when I do this, which is I pierce the woman's veil with my presence, what happens is what you just did, which is, are we doing it yet? What's going to happen next? All of these out of control, impatient questions that she delivers to me as if I am doing something either wrong or as if I'm not doing something, which is why I told you at the very beginning, I'm doing it right now. All of these things start coming to the surface for a woman to actually look at. Because this isn't a let's pretend there's a woman interacting with a man and let's do a role play. This is actually happening right now, Nicole. And so every student I have, this is how I interact with them. We go real. And so we then have the opportunity to ask the question about patience and control because you just demonstrated impatience and need for control. And your brain will come up with a lot of reasons for why you just did that. The first reason will be, well, the audience watching us needs to understand what's going on. Second thing is, well, people don't really understand silence as a tool. Third thing is, sessions like this don't normally go like this. Kaleo, you just put us outside the box. Well, that's what I do. That's literally what I do. And so what happens inside you is things start coming to the surface for you right now. In this hangout session right now, things are coming to the surface for you. And we ask very simple questions about what's coming to the surface. Are you ready to do this, Nicole?
So I'm sitting here, and I'll tell you what I'm noticing.
Hold on, honey. Hold on. We got to ask the question. We got to answer the question first. Are you ready to do this, yes or no?
Okay, to what are you referring to?
Okay, I'm going to ask you the simple question again. Are you ready to have me demonstrate to you what I do with women?
Okay, so that's more clear. So yes.
Okay. So that's what we're doing right now.
Okay.
So the very first thing you do, instead of making a statement about how you feel, you register how you feel inside yourself and you ask a question about how you feel. Because the very beginning of opening is in the question. Statements do not open. Statements about how you feel do not open your heart. Only by asking the question about how you feel within yourself will you ever open your heart wider. So are you ready to do this right now?
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, Nicole, how do you feel right now about this interaction, good or bad?
Um,
Don't think about it, honey. I'm talking about the feeling. Don't think about it. Don't go to your head. Just go
how do
into
I
your
feel about,
body. How does it feel, good or bad?
why does it have to be black or white?
Because it has to be. This is the process. I'm
Oh, this is
making
a
you
problem.
make I'm making you make a choice right now.
Okay.
Chicks don't want to make choices, do they? They would rather just have fluffiness and gray areas and conditions and all that bullshit that doesn't work in the real world.
However,
You have to choose whether you feel good or bad right now, and you have to choose
I
good
have
or
to
bad
choose whether I feel good or bad.
right now about this
Um,
interaction right now, present.
well, what I'm thinking, I'm going to be a typical chick because what I'm thinking is that I'm not feeling bad and I'm not necessarily feeling good. I'm feeling,
You're being a typical chick right now.
I am
That's
being a typical
awesome.
chick.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm
So
not feeling
so
bad.
so that's why check
I
this
know I'm
out.
not.
Check this out.
Uh-huh.
I'm not asking you how you're not feeling, and what you're answering is everything around what you're feeling, which means you're inside your head, and that becomes the evidence we use to work through your situation right now. Right now, you are giving us useful evidence that's coming up through your unconscious, and it's becoming conscious for everyone to see. It's evidence. And we work on evidence in our world, okay? New normal is all about evidence. We're not in our brain thinking about a bunch of stuff. It's all evidence. And it's just observation. So I am observing you right now be inside your head when we're talking about heart space.
Okay, so how do I feel? I don't feel bad, but
I
I wouldn't
don't.
say I feel good.
Check this out. And once again,
Yep.
your language gives you away. All you have to do is answer how you feel. I don't care how you don't feel. Abraham teaches us
Uh,
that, right? So
I am feeling.
Abraham teaches us that, right? Abraham teaches us, right? So all the law of attraction, everything teaches us we don't talk about how it's not, how we don't want it. We don't do that. So we talk about how it is, because that's the only thing that gives us the evidence that we're actually present when we talk
This
about
is
how
how
it
I'm feeling.
is.
Okay, this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling. I'm
Good,
wondering where
good
he's
or
going.
bad? No, good or bad?
No, because I don't want to feel like I'm being contained in either or. I don't want to feel that. I'm feeling like I'm
Typical
wondering.
woman, right? Typical
I'm
woman right there, right?
fine. I'm going to be a typical woman. I'm feeling like I'm wondering where he's taking this or wondering where he's going.
Is that a good or bad feeling?
It's more of a curious feeling.
Is curious good or bad?
I guess it's good.
Don't guess. Is it good or bad?
Curious is good.
How does it feel right now inside your body? How is curious feeling right now inside your body? Tell me what part of your body is starting to move, right? So it's below your heart and it's like your stomach is kind of churning a little bit and maybe like your legs are getting a little bit tingly, right? So tell me how that feeling of nervousness.
I'm feeling in my body. I'm feeling my solar plexus.
That's
I'm not feeling
that's
numb in my. I'm not feeling numb in my leg. I'm not feeling anything in my gut. I'm feeling my solar plexus.
Yeah,
I feel
and
like energy there.
that's
Right?
exactly where your shadow lives. So we know for a fact we are in the realm of your shadow right now, and it's
Oh,
evident. It's evident by the feeling, and you need to do this in order to move forward. You actually need to do this. You need to label that feeling as good or bad.
oh, I need to label that feeling as good or bad. Okay. I'm going to say it's good. It's good.
And why is it good?
Because if it's anything that is, if it's coming up or if I'm feeling that and it's serving me, then it's good.
So unfamiliar things that come to your awareness are good.
It's for my ultimate good, so it must be good.
Okay. Now, a lot of people believe this, what you just said, but they don't live it.
Okay.
We, in New Normal, we live above belief, above hope, above all that stuff. We live above the label, which is one of the reasons why we label it is so we can climb on top of the label. We just climbed on top of the label good, and now we can talk about why it's good, which is
Okay.
the quality of good. So you just said that when I am faced with something unfamiliar and I feel the movement in my belly, it's a good thing. A lot of people wish they thought that way. A few people on this planet actually believe that in real life and move toward the things that frighten them. Very, very few of us live this as an absolute. Very few of us. The people who work with me, the students who work with me, have this as an absolute.
Okay.
We don't deviate from this. Fear, nervousness, anxiety is good because movement is beneficial. And that's how we take our perspective from a problem perspective, movement as a problem, this anxiety as a problem, and we stop that perspective and we move it to an opportunity perspective and we say, oh, it's not anxiety, it's excitement. It's excitement for something new. Kaleo is moving me out of my comfort zone right now. This is what presence must feel. This is how presence must feel. So you no longer have to talk about presence. You now have the experience of presence. And guess what? Presence moves your bowels. One of the pieces of evidence that we have of facing presence as a right now thing is it will move your bowels. It will actually move all your stuff below your heart, and it'll move them. Okay? So quite often when women deal with me for the first time, they have to take a potty break, and they have to go evacuate themselves because literally I'm scaring the shit out of them. Because presence is scary, Nicole. And what's the evidence? You didn't want to be present because you wanted to be in this gray area. Rather than answering the question about how you feel inside your body, you told me a bunch of thoughts. And we're not talking about that, Nicole. That's old. That's old normal. So whenever I ask you a question, I'm asking you, how do you feel? And the question that you now have an opportunity to ask yourself, now that we've gotten to this baseline of movement is beneficial, movement is good, is I wonder what this movement is trying to teach me about myself right now. And you ask that question out loud, and you'll get an answer through your intuition. Ask the question out loud, and you'll get that answer through your intuition. You can't
Oh,
ask it inside. You can't ask it inside your brain because your brain is broken. You can't ask it inside your brain because your brain thinks it already knows.
okay. I didn't realize you were leading me to ask a question there. Just a moment. I just need to close this window here because what's happening is that my computer is slowing down a bit. So just a moment. Let me just close it off here. So the question or the inquiry is, I wonder what this movement is teaching me about myself.
And when you get the answer, just speak it out loud. And when you get the answer, just speak it out loud.
I'm still wondering.
Okay? That means you're disconnected from your heart. You operate from your brain. The evidence is you got no answer. The evidence is, how about this? The evidence is you heard no answer. It's like sticking your fingers in your ears, and you can't hear the sirens. So remember, we work on evidence. We don't work on thought. We don't work on opinion. We don't work on strategies and goals and all this crazy stuff. We work on right now evidence. And right now the evidence is you cannot hear your inner voice.
Well, not that this. Well, whatever it is that you're wanting me to hear, whatever it is I'm supposed to hear, I can't hear it because I am sitting here wondering how am I holding space for the women who are listening to this conversation. So I feel like I am in my masculine energy or my masculine mind, and then I'm feeling as though I'm facilitating a conversation for women to learn more about themselves, and I'm sure I'm learning more about myself as I go along. And at the same time, I'm feeling as though that I'm also in the conversation as someone who's wanted to explore whatever is going on with me.
Okay, and how do all of those thoughts, okay, so those are all thoughts. Those are all concepts. You're either present or you're not. So those are all concepts and considerations about the constraints and potential problems that this interaction is causing for you. And what we do is we just eliminate all that.
Okay.
And we connect deeply, me and you, as if we're the only two on this line. And we know for a fact that everything in the universe is perfect, including this, and we are part of designing the perfect universe, including this. And this opportunity that you are opening for yourself to be human and vulnerable is helping automatically everyone else be human and vulnerable. So all you got to do is just relax and do it.
Okay.
And we have evidence that you are not relaxed and you're not doing it, even though I asked you twice, are you ready to do this?
No, I'm not relaxed and I'm not doing it in the moment.
Yeah,
I'm not.
right. So we actually have a full-blown real live example of where
Fully full-blown real life example that I'm not.
Of where a woman is interacting with a powerful present man, and this is how she responds. So
Okay.
we don't have any theory anymore, honey. This is real. There's no theory anymore. This is real. And this
So,
is new normal. This
okay.
is new normal, right? So you can't get into a cage with a dragon and expect that he's going to be a lamb. When you
No,
get
I
into
get
a cage with a dragon and and all he does is presence, the only thing I ever do is presence.
I
This is
get
it.
that. You've been the dragon who's eating me up for the last half an hour.
How does it feel? How does it feel to be eaten by a dragon?
You've been eating me alive.
How does it feel to be eaten by a dragon? Good or bad?
You like to have just one or each end of the pole, don't you?
That's what presence is all about. You're either present or you're not.
How does it feel? It doesn't feel good.
Okay, there you go again, telling me how it doesn't feel.
Bad. There you go.
Why does it feel bad to be to be exposed?
Because I feel, well, okay, you don't want me to talk about feelings. If I were on this
No,
call,
no, 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 no. You can talk about feelings, but
okay,
what I want you to do is ask your question out loud so that your brain doesn't muddle the reality of your disconnect. So I wonder, whenever I ask, I wonder, the process is to ask the question out loud and leave a little gap of silence, and whatever first comes into your mind, that's what you speak. So I wonder why it feels bad to interact with Kaleo.
I wonder why it feels bad to interact with Kaleo.
And then speak whatever you get.
Because I feel that I'm operating here as a client and you as a coach, and not we are moderating this conversation together.
Okay, so fantastic.
That's what's
Would you,
coming to me.
okay, fantastic. Now we know that that's a story because that's a problem. You have a problem perspective. Okay, so we know that that's a story. What the evidence is you asked me what I do with my clients, and I'm showing you right now. So you asked me a question. What do you do with your clients when
What do
they
I do with
come?
your clients? Oh, okay, so you didn't prepare me for that. So if you didn't prepare me for that, so
Prepare you for what?
I thought you were going to elaborate on what you do with your
Honey,
client.
honey,
I thought you were going
honey.
to elaborate, not
Well,
demonstrate on me.
well, then you didn't understand the question when I said, "Are you ready to do it now?"
Oh, I see. Okay, now I'm
And
getting it.
and what I said is none of this is theoretical. None of this is intellectual. I'm not going to elaborate what I can demonstrate. I don't need to elaborate on having sex if I can just do it. I don't need to talk about being a dragon if I am a dragon. I don't need to describe how it feels to be present if I'm just plain present. We don't need to fear being exposed if we're already exposed. We don't need to fear the connection with your audience if you're already connected with your audience. You can't lose an audience that is deeply connected with you, no matter what I do.
There's no fear about that.
You mentioned something about the women watching this and how they're going to perceive it.
No, no. What's coming up for me is when I asked you about the question, the original question, I thought you were going to elaborate and not demonstrate on me. So then my mind or my brain from about 20 minutes ago went into this, okay, so what's going on here?
Fantastic. And then, using my process that I'm demonstrating, we
Yeah.
got down to the fact that when you're faced with something new, you feel good. That now is contradicting the interaction with Kaleo feels bad. We now have something to work with. We now have two polar opposite realities in the same exact space. And that's one of the reasons that we say in our work, paradox rules everything we do, because you will always have a paradoxical opportunity, problem, choice to make. And your choice, your personal responsibility always will be to choose the one you want to live. So you either like the feeling of interacting with Kaleo and getting new information about yourself, or you don't like it. It's either an opportunity for you or a problem, and you have stated both. So now you need to choose one, because there is no gray area.
You
Because there
sound
is
like
no.
the guy. You sound like the guy from the Matrix. You choose
I
the blue.
am the guy. Look. I am Morpheus. I am Morpheus and the prophet, or the what's her name? The prophet, the one, the oracle. I'm Morpheus and the oracle together. Okay. Sorry.
No, I'm getting that. You're Morpheus and the Oracle at the same time.
I'm Morpheus and the oracle.
So I'm going to choose that it's an opportunity because that's how I'm deciding or choosing to live my life.
Yay!
Not that it's a
Yay!
problem. I don't want to go there.
Look, no, don't talk about it. I don't want to go there. I'm telling you, don't do that, Nicole.
No, I just said I'm going to choose that it's an opportunity because I don't want to go there where I'm thinking it's a problem.
And I said, don't say that last part.
Why?
Do it right now. I wonder why Kaleo says don't put that last negative part onto something positive.
Oh, I see. Okay, I get it now.
No, say it out loud. Ask the
I
question
wonder
out
why
loud.
Kaleo said don't put that last negative on a positive.
What's the answer?
Confusion.
Yeah, so you control through confusion.
Oh boy.
We know that. You
Okay.
just illuminated another piece of shadow that has just come up, which is you control through confusion, which is why you insert impatience to create confusion. And you confuse yourself. Welcome to being a woman. Welcome to fear. Listen, welcome to fearing presence. Welcome to fearing a present man. The whole time we are talking about the exact thing that you want to talk about. We're just demonstrating it. We're not holding up a bunch of documents and charts and all this sort of stuff. We're not talking theoretic here. We're talking real. We're having a
Okay.
real live conversation between a man of substance and presence and a woman who fears substance and presence. And
Okay.
the, evi-
Well,
and the evidence, I'm sorry, the evidence is self-evident. It's already here. It's already out.
so what came up for me when you said that I fear substance and presence, I feel that's your perception. That's your perception.
That's my observation from how from how this has gone for the last 20 minutes.
Okay.
So it's my
What part of
observation.
me?
It's my
What part of
observation.
me?
It's my observation based on experience with you, direct present experience. I don't have any other thoughts
I
going on
could give
about
my
it.
observation. I can give my observation based on what I see with you, but that's another call. What part of me fears presence of substance when I invited you on the call to share, being a present man and a man of substance to share with the ladies? What part of me fears that?
Well, ask
How would
yourself
I?
that.
Yeah. Well, I'm asking you, and I guess I'm asking myself. Why would I fear that if I invited you on the call?
Ask yourself that. Ask yourself that out loud and then tell the answer when you connect to your heart.
Uh, why would I fear that when I've invited you, Kaleo on the call?
Right? So the question is, why would I choose a direction knowing that I will be in immediate hot water? And that's one of the beautiful primary questions that women across the ages never ask themselves when they deal with a man of substance. And the answer is very simple, because that's how I learn. The answer is very simple. So one of the things you do is complicate and confuse in order to control. The 3 C's. Complicate, confuse, control. What presence does is it eliminates that. It dissolves it. And it makes it simple, direct, and accessible. And what we have just directly accessed is the reality inside you that says you go toward a challenge in order to learn something new about yourself. And that's what's happening right now. You are getting what your cosmic design has delivered. And it's serving its purpose right now, whether you believe it or not, whether your brain thinks it or not. Okay? No matter what your brain thinks about this, this has to be a perfect interaction because you are part of the perfect universe. So no matter what your brain thinks about this, it will never catch up to the reality of this energetic interaction.
What is it that you're here to learn from me?
How to be 100% present with someone who may or may not care about presence, to hone my craft, to allow myself to open my world to a woman who has requested to connect with me for free, no money, exchanging hands, to illuminate my integrity, my unconditional integrity, to demonstrate 100% that what I say, I've already done. So everything I talk about, Nicole, I've already done. So I don't ever talk about something that's going to happen or some theoretic thing that I read in a book or like something I want to do. I always talk about something I've already done. So the presence of now is the energy of this momentum that is moving toward the opportunity to connect deeply. And that's all I ever do, Nicole. So when I said to you that there are no distractions in my life, there are no distractions in my life. I use every single thing in my life as an opportunity to learn deeply about myself. And I'm 100% on that. And I was born this way. And my life is a testament to that, which includes right now.
What is it that
What's going on inside you right now?
I am thinking about the women. I'm going back to the conversation about the women, and I'm thinking about them maybe never having heard a man's compassion for them. Maybe never having experienced deep, present empathy.
Nicole?
Yes?
Okay. You're doing it again. Okay? You're inside your head. How do we know? You're talking about other people.
Yeah.
So what we do is we come present and we talk about you. So ask a question from your experience about what's going on right now, or from your past experience, or from something that's coming up through you right now, so that we can actually stay present instead of being distracted. Because what just happened is you went back into your head and you started thinking about stuff outside yourself, and there's nothing out there anymore. That's why you
Yeah.
couldn't come up with anything.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to go back there, and I'm going to go exactly back to where I was before. And I'm going to ask a question that is outside myself.
Okay.
Because for the women who are in my audience, this is what they would be wondering of me or of themselves. And what they're wondering is, for themselves, they feel as though some of them, a lot of them, feel as though maybe they've never met a man who understands the trauma, pain, or whatever it is that they're experiencing or had experienced before.
Yeah.
So when I think about the way they're feeling, what I think is, how do you demonstrate as a man who holds space for women that space of presence, or the provider energy, or that energy, or that consciousness to women, so that they can help themselves heal?
Exactly how I've done in the last 20 minutes.
Okay, I got it.
And this is how it feels. There's no intellectual sort of plan or understanding. You just plain do it. And what has happened in the last 20 minutes is the it that you're asking me what I do, it unsettles you. It's unsettling to be with a man like me. It's unsettling to be presented with presence when you are unfamiliar with presence. It's very unsettling to be presented with an illuminating, piercing light that comes into you and sees everything that you would rather hide from yourself, while you continue to try to talk about everything out there. One way works, the other way doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking that maybe the way we're thinking about how this conversation is
I'm
going
not
is not, we're
I'm
not on
not
the
I'm
same
not
page with it.
I'm not thinking about this conversation. I'm just in it.
You're in it. Okay.
I'm not thinking about this conversation. I'm not planning anything. I'm just in it. I don't have an idea of how this should go. I'm just in it. Which is the answer to your question. How do I do what I do? That's the answer to your question. I don't plan anything. I'm just in it.
Okay.
And it feels exactly like this, Nicole. So I don't resonate with women who are thinking and planning and have all kinds of stories in their head.
That's okay.
They don't do well with me. Only when a woman can become present within herself, which means to let go of control, which means to actually be real with herself and take off her mask, and become silently connected within herself. That's when we begin. Until then, we're in elementary school. Until then, we have training wheels on. So only in the presence of absolute will silence become a useful power. Other than that, silence is a problem. And anyone seeking control and planning and understanding There is no understanding, Nicole. It doesn't exist. Everything inside your head is variable and temporary. Only the voice of your heart, which is silence itself, is permanent. Everything that goes through your head is created and programmed and temporary and variable. Temporal, right? So according to time, it's conditional. So when I say it doesn't matter what you think, all I care about is how you feel, that's the doorway to presence, which means you have to let go of what you think, which means you have to see clearly what it is you're thinking in order to let go. So the question right now that I would do right now, that I will do right now, is I wonder what you're thinking right now. I wonder what your brain is telling you.
You're wondering it of me?
So are you trying to confuse me again?
No, are you wondering
I
of me?
asked you a direct question, and you are trying to evade some way. I wonder why I'm trying to evade right now. I wonder what I'm trying to evade right now. What's going on, Nick? What's going on, honey? You feeling good or bad? Come on, feeling good or bad? Let's go back to the basics. Feeling good or bad right now? Come on. Nick, come on. What's going on, Nick? Come on, Nick. You got to tell me what's going on inside you. What's going on inside you, Nicole?
I wanted to see how you do in a woman's silence. How comfortable you are with it.
Oh, oh, okay. Okay.
And you use that for 2 minutes to ask me what's going on.
We can sit here in silence as long as you want. Just so you know, this is my favorite thing, okay? So, just so you know, okay? This is what I do. This is what I do for fun right here, honey.
I can sit in silence too, but I don't have all day.
Well, then tell me what's going on inside you. Act like you're just any old woman and you're meeting a man of presence who scares you on one side and then attracts you on the other side. And you want to engage with him, right? So rule number one, engage. If I ask you what's going on inside you, tell me the truth. Become transparent.
What's going on inside of me is I'm wondering how the value of this conversation is going to be something that useful for those who are listening.
So do you recognize that that's your brain trying to create problem and confusion and control?
Do I recognize that? Mm, that's my brain thinking.
About a problem. If you
I
took
don't.
that same exact thought,
Wait a minute. You labeled it as a problem. You labeled it as a problem.
if you
I'm
check this out,
wondering. Okay.
if you take that same exact wondering and you take it to the opportunity, what's the possibility? The possibility is that it's probably helping some women in ways that they didn't even know they needed help, starting with you. Which means you would have to be clear about how this is working inside you and then project that clarity of this is real, which is present, to the rest of the world. And then you wouldn't be worrying or wondering about it. You wouldn't be spending time on this telecast wondering about the value of the telecast. Because that's a problem perspective, and it only happens in your brain. That's like being at a date. That's like being at a first date wondering how the date's going. That's crazy. Only crazy people think that way.
Yeah,
Right?
I think that what I'm feeling is that I appreciate your presence and you haven't been here for the call. I'm feeling that. And what I'm feeling also is that I'm not sure that the direction of what I had in mind is what we took for the call.
Okay. Okay. I see. Fantastic. Thank you for bringing that. Okay. So that's the answer to what's going on inside you. Fantastic. What I see is that we're still in the answer to the question. You asked me one question.
Okay, I feel that this could be useful for me to explore why it is that I'm on this call with you. Why is it that we're having this conversation? Could be a personal way to personally explore what's going on with this global meeting or this destined meeting. For me to look back and review on why it is that we're having this conversation. But I don't know that it could be useful for those who are in my listening audience.
Why are you saying that? I don't understand that. What better way for anyone to learn than through absolute immersion?
I feel like if I had known prior that I was going to be immersed in a role play, it would feel better for me.
So if you had the plan that you knew it was going to happen, you would like it better, or you would be more prepared, or what?
Yeah, I would be more mentally prepared for it.
So what's going on inside your mental controls that you're not prepared to be present?
I know you keep referring to the idea of me preparing to be present or me needing to be present. I don't think I see it like that. I don't see it like that.
Nicole, you just said it. You just said if you could plan better, this would go better.
No, I didn't say it would go better. I said that perhaps it would be something that would be the audience could probably use more. What I had in mind to explore wasn't necessarily this idea for role play between you and I.
Okay.
Sorry, wait a minute. What I had in mind wasn't necessarily to explore this me being the client, you being the coach idea. If I had known that I was going to role play, or okay, let's explore some of what's going on with you, or let's ask you some questions about yourself, then it would be something that I think I'll be more prepared for.
Okay. All right. So then be present right now. Get out of that. Be present right now and turn it around right now. Find the opportunity right now.
The opportunity is that I can, or I will.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about the opportunity. Do it. Don't talk about the opportunity. Do it.
Do it. This is going to help me explore more of what's going on inside of me.
So take it further and keep taking it. Like, take this and make it valuable. Make this a valuable example that women can see, that is like a real a man of presence and substance dealing with a woman who is given toward confusion and thinking too much. I mean, this is exactly what you're asking.
According to you. Yeah, according to what you're saying.
Honey, this is exactly what you're asking for. So, the best possible way for you to use this as a benefit for you and everyone connected to you is to continue using it as a benefit.
Okay, so if you want for us to have a real example of demonstration at this point, now that I know that I'm not sitting here in a dialogue where I'm being the patient or client and you're the coach, then we can proceed from here. If you want to have a conversation where you can demonstrate presence, or me being a woman who just be vulnerable and let things go, we can do that.
So then do it. So one thing that doesn't work, one thing I do not do is I don't talk about what I'm doing, I just do it. There's no planning. There's no planning in New Normal. We just do it. So I'm giving you the opportunity right now to just do it. And remember what I said at the beginning, the way, the tool of opening is the question. So you have an opportunity right now to ask a question.
The question that's coming to me is, I'm wondering how this experience is helping me grow.
What answer do you get back from your shadow?
Now, the answer that's coming back to me is, well, it's pushing you to experience more of what you want.
That's pretty good. And it really is that simple. Nick, it really is that simple. When you ask yourself the question about how you feel presently right now, your connection to presence comes alive. And it will answer you as if it is talking to you as a different person. And that's your inner voice. And that's what I mean when I talk about heart space. This is the most basic tool, the most basic fundamental tool for our practice. And every human on the planet that's ever lived can do it. And it will indicate to them how open they are versus how closed they are, how connected they are versus how unconnected they are. And what we now have experienced through evidence is that you now have become more connected and more open than you just previously were, because before you didn't get any answer, and now you get an answer, which means that this has benefited you. And this is what I mean when I say by any means necessary, by any means available, we smash that shit, Nicole. And I don't care what it looks like. I don't care who's watching. I don't care how much blood is involved. If everybody gotta die, everybody gotta fucking die, man. It's real. It's real. So the benefit to you is you just went through it, and you now have concrete evidence that you feel better because you now know for a fact that you have just learned something new, which is how to connect to your heart space. And that is a benefit. And I don't care if I had to stab you in your neck to make that happen. It's gonna happen. And we call that cosmic compassion. So new normal is about cosmic compassion in real life, which says everything I do is perfect. I don't care what anyone thinks or how it looks. Global compassion says us versus them. Human compassion says my tribe. Cosmic compassion says, yeah, whatever, forget all that. We're just living life on this planet. We are the masters of this universe. And we will live as such. And anyone who comes in our path shall experience the masters of the universe.
The thing that presence can learn is it does not and will not and cannot force a woman's surrender. Never. So I chose when I was going to do that.
And I saw you choose. It was obvious by your energy.
Yeah.
And you feel completely different now, and it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Okay, and this is what my entire process. We don't call it prison break because it's pretty. We don't call it shadow dragon because it's nice and pretty and fluffy. It's real. It's real, honey. And the faster you learn to flow, the less resistant you will go. The faster you learn to flow unconditionally, the more present you will be to the resistance that is already inside you. You can't hide from me. It's impossible for anyone to hide anything from me.
Well, I would say I can't hide from the universe and source and what the universe wants to do. I would say that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What I would say is that when presented with the opportunity of whether presence is going to force me to surrender or not, I'm not going to surrender based on force.
Well, your perception of force will then determine whether you continue to suffer by holding on or decide to see something as an opportunity. Right? So force is a negative problem perspective. And we already covered that you have a pervasive problem perspective because you like confusion and control, which means you have an opportunity.
No. I like clarity.
Right?
I like clarity.
Right.
When a situation is presented to me that's not clear, then I'm not going to go with it.
Yeah.
I won't go with it. I will not go with that which is not clear.
Fantastic.
Now, if fantastic. You're going to use presence and demonstrate the way you were demonstrating an hour ago, then you're not going to get that because
fantastic.
There was no clarity in how we were interacting.
Fantastic, Nicole. Fantastic, Nicole. You just did it again.
What?
You just did it again, Nicole.
You didn't. Well, go ahead and talk because you're not letting me talk. Go ahead.
You just did it again.
What did I do?
I want to address what you just said. If it's unclear, I will not release. Well, new normal can't ever operate that way. Everything in new normal is unclear, honey. Everything. And if you take time to think about it and release after in your little tiny program brain, it becomes clear to you, it's already gone. It's already passed. Energy doesn't work that way, Nicole. Only thoughts and fear work that way.
Oh, okay.
That's a protectionist attitude that destroys women's ability to be present. Because if they don't understand it,
that is actually I disagree with that. That's a gift.
Oh,
A
really?
woman,
Well,
a woman could be,
how well does it gift you, honey?
a woman could
How much
be, a woman could be,
how much flow does it allow you?
a woman could be open, but still see clarity. And if she going down a dark alley means that she's gonna get her head chopped off, she ain't gonna fucking go there.
Well, you're not in a dark alley right now, and you're not going to get your head chopped off. So I wonder why you're even talking about it.
I'm demonstrating that. I'm actually explaining that by sharing with you the demonstration of that. So earlier, I'm sitting here and we're going through what we're going through and we're talking about what we're talking about. And a part of me was thinking, well, I'm not really clear about where he's going with this. So of course, I'm not going to be as surrendered as I am now. So now that we've had this conversation, which I'm very grateful for, and thank you, appreciate it, it's more clarity has been brought to our interaction, and in that space of clarity, then I felt, okay, more openness came inside of my heart with that.
Fantastic. So you now have the benefit of engaging directly with a patient man who's patient with you, who is present the whole time, even though you were impatient and not present, impatient and distracted. So you now have the absolute experience of being with a man who has allowed you the space to transform yourself, to surrender to your fear. Not surrender your fear, surrender to your fear. And do it anyway. And the reason we are in this conversation right now is because I am present and I am patient. If I wasn't present and patient, and if we went according to your agenda, what you were thinking in your brain about what other people need, you wouldn't be right here. You wouldn't be here right now, would you?
Well, I don't know.
If I hadn't done what I did, you wouldn't be feeling the way you feel right now, would you?
Oh, okay, I see. Just a moment, I just need to get to a text here.
So how long we been on?
Probably about an hour or so.
Okay. So my wife says I can't ever go over an hour and 10 minutes, so we're going to have to wrap this up.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Sorry, I was just distracted there for a minute because I had a text come in I had to answer.
You are distracted, honey. You have to get this really clear. You are distracted by all the moving parts. And you really want to control how it looks. You want to control the moving parts. And I'm telling you, get rid of that, babe. That's old.
I can have a text come in that's important and not be a form of distraction.
You just said it was you just said it distracted you.
Let's get that clear. No, I just said it distracted me from just having a conversation. I'm not saying I'm distracted, like I'm actually a distracted person. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, you're a distracted person. You don't like presence. You resist it because it's unfamiliar.
No, if I have a text come in, I'm going to answer it. Period.
Fantastic. Then that's not a distraction.
Whether you like it or not.
Honey, then that's not a distraction then, is it? No, it's not. So you use the term distraction, and I addressed the term distraction. If now what you're telling me it's not a distraction, then let's just omit that word.
If you want to analyze the word, go ahead.
Well, if you say it, I have to. I use it. If you say it, I use it. Remember, as we speak, so shall it be. So if you talk about distractions, I'm going to address distractions. Now we have turned that distraction into a learning opportunity because distraction is a problem. So we turn a distraction into a learning opportunity right now. The learning opportunity right now.
Okay, you have been saying I'm confused and I'm controlling. So you've been saying I have a problem and I am a problem. So you are contradicting yourself.
I'm not, honey.
About the idea of turning up, looking at opportunities and not the problem.
No, honey. No, honey. No. Ask me a question about how we use contradiction, confusion, and control to create opportunity. Ask me how we do that, because
How do you use?
you have yet to do that.
We'll probably have to do it in another conversation because I think your wife, if it's an hour and a bit that you're to be on the call,
Ask
it's
me ask me the question.
how do you use confusion,
Control.
control, and what distraction was the third one?
Yes.
How do you use that?
Most people see confusion, control, and distraction as a problem,
Okay.
and they avoid seeing those problems inside themselves, which means they hide it from themselves, which means they deny that they use confusion, they use distraction, and they use control, because they don't want to be known to themselves as that type of person. Our practice is exactly the opposite.
I can admit that I can admit to myself that I'm controlling. I have no problems admitting all those things to myself. I think everybody has those elements within themselves.
We do something very different than what you just did.
Okay. So tell me what you do.
We actually take those elements that we discover, and using our technology of stop, we stop telling stories about these things we find. We stop giving opinions about these things we find. We stop trying to stop these things we find. We stop denying these things we find. We stop talking about how everybody has these things. We stop that. We absolutely stop. In the moment we stop, the opportunity becomes clear. And the first opportunity is to see the truth. The truth about myself, not about everybody else, not about something outside me, the truth about myself. And when that truth becomes real, it causes a discomfort inside, an uncomfortable, unsettled feeling. We then continue with the opportunity perspective to say that that discomfort is beneficial. So we use the actual physical, tangible energy inside my body to generate internal opportunity, where the drill of truth, which is the light drill, drills into the darkness of shadow, which is the shadow well. And we use these observable truths of discomfort to mine the internal power that turns us into superhuman. So acknowledging it is still on the old normal side. Transforming it and turning it into an actual experience is how you release it into the new normal, which means you have to release when you are uncomfortable, which means there is no certainty or understanding available in the moment the energy becomes presented to you, which means the presence of now does not allow you to think about protecting yourself from discomfort or harm. And that's a completely different way of operating in the world of romance, enlightenment, and sex and love than the way you're talking about. It's a completely different way of operating. You are seeking control and protection, and I am eliminating the need for control and protection. 100%. Every time the need for control or protection pops up, I'm eliminating it and transforming it into power, into actual power. And that's what we call spiritual alchemy. So thank you for asking me that question, even though you didn't want to. And that is the best question that you can end this with, so that everything comes back together and becomes perfect again, so that it becomes a usable teaching tool for you to show your own process in action.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for this conversation.
All right, honey. Take care of yourself. And I gave you those 2 documents. Use them however you will. Use them for your students. Use them however you will. Take them, dissect them, do whatever you want.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Okay,
All right, Nick.
bye-bye.
Talk to you later, babe. See ya.
Bye.